I do feel a little like dancing. That was not in the script in the dress rehearsal, but it was awesome. Thank you, Red. Okay, you guys have been sitting for a little bit, so stand up with me. Just stand up. Yeah, it feels a little bit better, doesn't it? Okay, do a little stretch. Let's work out some of the kinks. Get your arms back and forth. Wave them around in the air like you just don't care. Yeah, yeah. Some of you are like playing with me, and some are like, yeah, this actually does feel great. Awesome. All right, you can sit back down. So, I have a confession, which is that was definitely the dream of 16-year-old Robi, who used to drive his Saab 900 to work through the streets of Redmond listening to rap. I always wanted to be on stage and have a little bit of an audience following me along, so thank you for indulging me. But hopefully it was good for you, right? And what I really want to make the point about is that when you can find something that is beneficial to your audience, to your customers, and you can deliver an experience that is special, that meets them on their terms, and you can marry that with what your company wants and it needs, when you can do those things, that is where customer love blossoms. You see, the future of customer relationships and experience is meeting the customer on their terms. Coming to them, not waiting for them, but coming to them and identifying what it is that they really want. And when you can find those moments and your whole company can gather around that and really sync on the idea that the customer comes first, always, that it's not push, 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 but we now live in a pull society, that's where special stuff happens. That's where you can predictably lead to customer love. And so today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we're seeing with customers in general and what it means to be a mobile customer. Some of the things that winners are doing and what we at Apptentive are building to help you win at scale. So today's customer is mobile. There's no web customer, there is no app customer, there is no offline customer. They're not spending time in their desktop, right? They're on their devices. But they're also mobile because they view their relationship with you as an ongoing one. That's why sometimes you'll see them open up your app and come in and add things, but not purchase. Rather, they'll come back a few days later. This conversation for them is ongoing, just like the text message threads they have with their friends. The thing about mobile as well is that it has led to so much more convenience, so much more simplicity, that while we're riding the bus to work, we can click and search and investigate and purchase. But with that convenience comes a whole host of challenges that you need to be thinking about, because we are mobile in choice as well. It means we're just a click away from your competitor, even if they're all the way around the world. And if you don't provide a great experience, if you don't satisfy their needs, they will switch just like that. We are mobile in so many different ways, but perhaps the most important way that we are mobile is that today, more than ever before, every one of us has a voice that we can utilize through lots of different mediums, and that all too often is not actually empowered by you. That voice is empowered by other platforms where they can go out and they can talk and they can complain. And if they're mad or they're happy, they can use that voice, and they do today, now more than ever. So it's really crucial for us to understand that with that voice comes a real responsibility to proactively get in front of them, as opposed to waiting for them to utilize it. Because today's customer understands that their voice and their complaints in particular are currency. And that currency can be amplified. You can go on Twitter, you can complain about an airline you dislike, and somebody can tweet it, and somebody else can retweet it, and somebody else can retweet it. But the reason that they did that was not for the currency and the amplification, but rather because they wanted to be heard. They wanted to know that their opinion mattered to you. And when you recognize that, when you understand that, when you feel that, when your company feels that, you will change your behavior. Today, there are many companies out there that understand this in a deep way, and they're pressing their advantages that they have built in customer experience in order to win the next generation of consumers. And there are companies out there that understand this change, this shift in mentality is an opportunity for them to reshape the landscape of their competition, to attack incumbents who are not yet really grokking that customer experience matters more than anything. So for example, if we think about a company like Nordstrom, which has long been well-renowned for extraordinary salespeople who are super helpful, for an experience that goes above and beyond, they're taking mobile and pressing their advantage in order to ensure that more people are showing up at their store and more people are coming into contact with their people who are well-trained and care about the consumer. Or perhaps the canonical example, Starbucks, which has taken a consumer experience that is world-renowned for consistency and awesomeness, and then pressed their advantage in mobile to deliver more people into the store with a faster and better experience. We can also look at companies like OfferUp, which has used mobile to attack incumbents like Craigslist, who totally missed the boat on how mobile could offer an advantage around identity, which allowed you to start to circumvent some of the fraud that occurs a lot on Craigslist, and to take the mobile device and activate it to simplify the act of posting, which makes your life much, much easier. Or even a company like Alaska Airlines, who you'll be hearing from later, who operates in a very competitive environment dominated by a bunch of companies that do not really listen. And by pressing their advantage, not just for the consumer, but internally with mobile, in order to deliver better processes, better systems, and fundamentally an end-to-end experience that is better for their customer, they can attack the incumbents. Our belief is that we are here to help you win. We are here to help you figure out how to drive customer experiences that take share and make you dominant in your category. Our mission in life at Apptentive is really to give every customer a voice. That's what we strive for. And so for us, a lot of that starts with a very simple question. What would you do if you knew how all of your customers felt? What could you change about the experience if you knew how everybody felt? The reason that the love dialogue, which is used by all of our customers, is so successful is that over 90% of the time when a customer sees it, they answer. Because it's quick, because it is easy, because it happens at the right time in the right place, and it gives you data. Over 300 million consumers have given us answers to this question. And as a result, the downstream communication that is powered by our suite is that much more informed. Because you don't have to survey a customer who's unhappy about you to ask them what they like. You get to talk to them about how you can improve. You don't have to send a note to a customer who's super loyal and in your rewards program, and it said that they love you, to tell them about the rewards program, right? When you have this knowledge and this understanding, you can do really special things at scale. That's what we believe in. And so this suite of tools, underpinned by the really high response rate of the love dialogue, is where we invest our time and energy and how we think we can help you really, at scale, deliver customer love. I want to talk to you about some of the things in the suite that we've upgraded in the last 6 months and how they're changing and what they're really doing for you. So you heard from Sarah talking about ratings, Apple's new in-app prompt. Most of you who are our customers came to us in some form or fashion because of ratings. And our ability to help you drive an understanding of your consumers at scale and to activate those people and turn them into evangelists has made us a great ally in your efforts to really light up your customers, look great, and tell the story of what you're doing really well. We have never really been super, super excited about the fact that when we did that, we had to send somebody out of your app. We don't think that's a great experience. We think it takes away from all of the hard work you've done to get somebody in your app. And so when they released iOS 10.3, which supported this in-app rating prompt, we were psyched. We'd actually been asking Apple for years to allow us to do stuff programmatically, and they're worried about fraud. But now that they have it, and we support it, and Sarah has told you, it's amazing. It's so much better. It's an awesome experience. You don't have to leave the app. So that's out. But in addition to that, on our back end, we report on what's going on. Because it's very important to understand not only how many people have seen the prompt, but how many people have taken action on it. And because Apple has instituted limitations that say you can only show it to a person 3 times over the course of the year, and that consumers actually have the option in their settings to turn it off, you need to understand how many of your consumers are not being prompted even when you ask them, and how to change your strategies over time in order to sufficiently activate your evangelists at scale. The other thing that's really important to understand about the data that we're presenting to the dashboard as a result of the new Apple ratings dialog is that Apple, as iOS 11 starts to come upon us, is really pushing everybody to adopt this. To them, this is a much better experience. It's consumer friendly. We totally agree. And so as you prep for iOS 11, I want you all to know, your teams should understand, you should be on our latest SDKs just to make sure that you're ready for the iOS 11 launch of your app. If your app goes out prepped for iOS 11 and it doesn't have this in there, you're going to be behind the curve. So that's ratings. All right. The other side of ratings is feedback. If you came to us for ratings, I think most of you stayed because of feedback. I think understanding your customer is the secret weapon in your arsenal of building a better future for your company and a better experience. And so 2 years ago, we released what we call Message Center. It's in-app chat. Allows you to have a dialogue, asynchronously, synchronously. It turns your app fundamentally into a connection and conduit for your customer experience. We've had about 5 million consumers have conversations, really direct conversations, meaningful conversations with the apps that they're using. But a bunch of you couldn't use it. Because if you were in financial services or healthcare, highly regulated industries, the way we had built this was not supportive of multi-person user environments. It didn't log people out. So as a result, if Mike took my device and logged in to an account, maybe because we shared an iPad and we were using the same piece of software, unfortunately, he would see my conversation. We didn't design it for a multi-user environment. That's changed. Message Center now, with the latest SDK, supports login, logout, and ensures that Mike doesn't see my conversation with the company, but rather his. This is going to make sure that a lot of industries are able to standardize on Message Center and adopt it. And as I said before, we've had millions of customers have conversations with this, and we think it's an awesome experience. The second thing about this is that a lot of you have connected Message Center to your help desks. You have customer service teams that use tools like Oracle Right Now and Zendesk and Desk.com and User Voice. And for years, we've been powering conversations for hundreds of our customers and their CS teams through these integrations. This last quarter, we announced support for Salesforce Service Cloud, which is the most widely used enterprise help desk in the industry. So if you and your teams are using Service Cloud, get in touch with your CSM, and they can get you set up on what you need to do. The third thing that we've heard about Message Center and feedback in general is, what would I do if everybody talked to me? It's a little concerning when you have a small team or you maybe don't have CS yet bought in or they're not using a tool that we integrate with to think about how to deal with conversation overload. Because at the same time that you want to listen to people and you want to talk to them, you don't want to upset them because you haven't set the right expectations and they expect to hear back. So what we did around this is we first built out something we called quick responses. Quick responses are acknowledgement of the fact that 75% or more of your conversations are very similar in nature. People come in asking a very similar question. And as a result, you can create quick responses where you're able to have your team select a response, copies and pastes it in, and then they can spend their time on personalizing the answer. Right? Taking them off the rote work, focusing them on personalization, allows your teams to go faster. A lot of customers are using this. It's been fantastic, but we thought we could do more. We thought we could do a lot more. And so what we built is something we now call suggested responses. And suggested responses uses machine learning to identify which response we think is going to be most effective, most appropriate for this customer. And instead of having to drop down and select, take a couple clicks, maybe you don't know what the response is, it suggests what's going on, quickly allows you to, again, personalize, taking that rote work away and focus really on the customer experience, the answers to them. We released this last quarter, and 2 weeks ago, we updated the model again. And in the last 2 weeks, suggested responses have been used twice as often as quick responses, which tells us it's working and it's working well, because we're also seeing, in general, more customer responses. So this is a great way to help you with the volume and personalize and make sure you're getting back to your customers at scale. All right, so that is Message Center. Let's talk a little bit about the rote work that people deal with on a regular basis. That is the work of downloading your App Store reviews and categorizing them. We know a lot of you have Excel files after Excel files after Excel files with this stuff downloaded, and somebody has the unenviable task of once a month or once a week going through and categorizing it and then saying, here are the trends. the issues that we care about that are showing up in App Store reviews or in Message Center feedback are X, Y, and Z, and here's how they're trending. It's very valuable and important work, but it is rote, and computers can do it better. So today we're announcing Insights. Every one of our enterprise customers has this turned on in beta format. And what it does is it evaluates all the feedback from App Store reviews, as well as your messages through Message Center. It looks to identify trends and phrases, and then allows you to dig in based upon what you're interested in. So at a glance, you can see how much customer feedback there is through these two channels and the sentiment around it. And then you can click in and say, OK, well, I want to investigate what's going on with posting an item. Looks like most of the time, when people are talking about posting an item, they're happy. It looks like that feature, that capability to post is a really good one. Why? Because we have 477 people talking about this in the last month. 217 of them were public in the App Store, and their App Store review was really high. And then 260 of them were private messages, and overall the sentiment was really, really good. So you can tell your leadership team, you can tell your product team, hey, here's what's going on with core capabilities and core issues that customers care about and how they feel about it. Removing that rote work, taking hours out of your workflow, allows you to, again, focus on the thing that really matters, which is why is this happening and how can we address it and how can we get better? So that's Insights, available today to all of our enterprise customers. You'll see it with a little beta tag. We think you're going to be full of feedback on this, for sure. OK. So I didn't talk about surveys in the context of Insights, because that's not yet involved. We know that that's an area of interest for you, so we're working on that. But on the front of surveys, a lot of you have been using surveys over the past year. In fact, the usage of surveys has exploded. It's about 5 times the volume it was 12 months ago when we released NPS. Sounds like a lot of you care about NPS. It's a useful metric across your entire business. Doing it in mobile is really powerful. So we took that and we generalized it and created a range survey question. And range survey questions can be useful to gauge the temperature of customer on any number of topics. How interested are you in a feature? This is out today for all of you who are on our SDK 3.2 and above. Super easy to use. Response rates are really high. We think it's beautiful. In addition, we know that a lot of you have struggled in creating surveys because you worry about the customer experience, because you're trying to be empathetic and you don't want to look terrible on a mobile device. Right? Small screen real estate provides for lots of opportunities for mistakes. So we've also released this week Survey Preview, which allows you and your team to design the surveys on the fly and understand how it's going to look, and to estimate what's it going to be like from an experiential perspective. Oh, I put 6 questions together. Man, that is several scrolls. I do not want to do that to my customers. I'm taking it down to 3. Survey Preview is a small feature that leads to great empathy. All right, so that's surveys. I want to bring you back. Our suite is really predicated on understanding as many of your customers as possible. Our mission is to give every customer a voice. It's anchored by the love dialogue. We know over the past 6 years that you've talked to hundreds of millions of consumers, that you've got enormous response rates, that you're driving customer love and understanding in your organization. And then when it comes to mobile apps, there's nobody like us. We're honored to be partners with you. We're flattered at the amount of investment you've made of time and energy with us. But like I said before, apps are not mobile customers. Mobile customers are more than that. And so today, I get to tell you we are broadening. We are now helping you understand your mobile customers across your web and your app channels, which really covers 90 to 95% of your digital interactions with consumers. What's really exciting about this is that we partnered with about 5 of our customers over the past year to really identify where on the web we needed to start first. Because people have asked us for years, hey, you do an awesome job, can you come help me out? And what people said over and over and over and over again was surveys on the web suck for mobile customers. We heard over and over again that they're heavy, they were not personalized and targeted, and they fundamentally were not designed for the mobile consumer. And so that's what we're good at. We care about that mobile customer experience, regardless of if they're in your app or on your website. They're beautiful, they will look great, they're responsive on your website, and they're wonderful on a mobile device. And they support all the capabilities I told you about. At our heart, at Apptentive, we care about one thing and one thing alone. Do your customers love you? How can we help you get more of them to love you? This is what we're here for. The future of our company is really predicated on you. You give us feedback. You tell us where to go. We listen as hard as we possibly can. Back there's a customer feedback table we'll be at all day long. We would love to hear about what else we can do to make you successful. But fundamentally, thank you from the bottom of my heart, bottom of our entire team's heart, for loving your customers. You make it a joy to do what we do. Thank you.